class. Don't leave me on red now. Here's a hint. There are two things that are said to exist but have never been seen before. Yes, Kyle. My sleep and motivation? No, two pretty best friends. Have y'all been watching my review TikToks at all? Because my views are lacking. Hey, what are we texting about up in here? Quarantine is acting up on TikTok after what happened with Gen Z, Mr. Desanze. Now, Eli, that's completely Wait, what happened with Gen Z? He left after he saw all the emojis that she was leaving under Marcus's Instagram pics. Also, she's a Marcus major, huh? This better make the best TikTok story time. Quarantine, I know you came to college for your MRS. Mr. Desanze. Kyle, no talking while the tea's dropping. You know the rules. Aren't you supposed to be getting us ready for the exam? You wouldn't think so the way you're testing me. Don't make me send you to Mr. Beast's digital office. You know he loves giving away citations. Mr. Desanze, I'm just trying to get my grade up. You know what, class? Kyle's right. We'll just let the tea cool off for now. All right, next question. Who's 6'9"? Karen, you should know this one since I know you love 12. Isn't that the Screaming Skittle? All right, you get extra credit for that one. But all right, anyone else have any other... Hold up, who's playing video games during the lesson? Sorry, Mr. Desanze. I just got a kill streak in that new Call of Duty Among Us edition. Gen Z, that's completely against the... Wait, you got that game too? Yes, sir. Hold up, I'm getting online right now. Extra credit if you beat me. What the... Mr. Desanze, we're supposed to be learning. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize your name was pronounced Karen. Let's see what Principal Beast has to say about how you're acting up. No, wait. Hey, what's up, Kyle? Kyle? Is my 7G acting up again? Kyle? Right? I can't believe it. Why would you try to get the class back on track? I beg your pardon? You know what I taught you? Keep it on mute until the coup. That's the only way to get through college. Paying attention. What, you better actually pay for the textbooks too? Dad, I was just trying to get my grade up. That's not how you... Are you studying your... I mean, I tried, but then why would I read the textbook? Where did I go wrong with this one? See, this is why your grade looks like the temperature outside. How come the only time you bring home hundreds is when you got a fever? Like, giving points off for your essays being too short. Boy, just write extra words and then turn the font white. Dang, Dad, where'd you learn that, in college? Of course not. Years of TikTok, son. Learn more in 1 year of that than 16 years of school. Well, look, Dad, I wasn't the one in the wrong here. He was the one bugging. Not even taking responsibility, huh? After all that time I spent teaching you the YouTube apology method. Since you need to learn some responsibility, why don't you help Timmy get ready for school? All right, fine. What's he need? Just help with his homework. Why didn't he do that last night? I mean, he would have, but the new season of Mr. Beast game show came out on Netflix, so we had to prioritize. Plus, I woke up late because he came in my room last night talking about there are monsters under my bed. Like, we all fighting our own demons. You ain't special? Why would you? It's like we're not even speaking the same language. And the only language I speak is facts. Now hurry up before you start making me suffer from respect deprivation.
You have 20 minutes to build three towers. You can build any three towers you want. I've marked the location of the towers on your map.
We just want to get it sorted.
You may
want Halfords. From crates to batteries, MOTs to repairs. To over 750 stores and garages, your hosts are mobile experts. Because if you want to keep moving this winter, you want Halfords.
Snow is going to solve our impending doom problem.
We have a responsibility to make the planet a better place to live in.
Dear
It
Ray.
starts with me or someone else. It has to start somewhere. Morning. You good? Thank you. That's why we created a fleet of electric vans. Zero emissions is a way that we can reduce the impact of travel on the environment.
Especially considering
Now,
the
because
dozens
of
of
the
exploding munitions I've lost track of at home base.
I'm Ben, the operations manager of Amazon.
These bags of slush.
Outlandish, I know. But isn't life quite like an expired log? Rich, complex.
Hey everyone, my name's Christine, and I'm afraid to look at my reflection in the mirror. It's not that I'm not satisfied with my appearance. On the contrary, I adore how I look. Moreover, I am very proud of myself. It runs in the family. The problem is that everything in our house is made of mirrors, and I seem to be starting to lose my mind because of the infinite reflections of myself. I'm gonna tell you about how I live in the world of mirrors.
My persona.
Since childhood, my mother dreamed of becoming a model, and all her efforts were aimed at improving her appearance. She still managed to get to the catwalk, and from the age of 14, she had dropped out of school and started to appear appear in various television commercials and participate in fashion shows. Her parents saw their daughter's huge success and fascination, so they never stood in her way, although they asked her to complete her schooling. A few years later, my mother realized that she wanted not just to demonstrate the clothing of some couture, but also to create it personally. Her experience in the modeling world was enough to understand fashion trends, but still she did not know the process of creating the new clothes with her own hands. However, she managed to master the skill easily in special courses. And a year later, she represented the world with her own small dress collection. She not only created and sewed the dresses from the collection with her own hands, but also showed them herself. It was a stunning success. My mother became a very rich lady, and therefore she was really proud of herself. Let's just say she truly enjoyed herself. She was talented, clever, beautiful, and rich. It could seem that she had nothing to dream of anymore. But right at the peak of her popularity, my mother realized that she wanted her own family. My parents didn't manage to create a loving family and divorced before I was born. Still, from that marriage, Mom got me. I was her exact copy, who took over from her not only her appearance, but also her character. And that's why my mother adores me, but no more than herself, of course. In my childhood, I thought that I lived in the same way as any other child. But later I understood that my life was different from everyone else's lives. It turned out that my mom was actually a very cool and fantastically beautiful woman. Well, she was really fond of herself, but it was not a crime, was it? However, I inherited her pride as well. I really liked myself, and am pleased with myself in all aspects. In the morning and night, Mom and I even used to fight for the mirror. Just don't think that we've both been a little crazy. We just considered ourselves to be very beautiful and attractive people, and therefore liked to spend time in front of the mirror. Once my mother came up to me and asked my opinion about making everything in our apartment of mirrors. She really meant it, and decided to make all the floors, walls, ceilings, windows, cabinets, sinks, and even toilet bowls of mirrors. It immediately struck me as a great idea, and therefore within a month, our apartment turned into a mirror house. Mom was just beaming with pleasure. As it turned out, living in a mirror world was her childhood dream, and finally her dreams came true. Although I haven't dreamed of anything like that before, I was happy too. I could see many reflections of me everywhere.
I hate that.
And it was just incredible.
The brand new Panini Premier League sticker collection. It's the excitement of opening that packet. Swapping, trading, completing a page, a team, your album. It's about being part of something big, something special. Ready to go again? The official Premier League 2021 sticker collection from Panini. Out now. Come on!
As a sidekick to a secret agent.
At first, my mom and I really enjoyed our reflections in the hundreds of mirrors installed throughout the apartment. Although, we used to bump into them quite often. Why did it happen? Because sometimes it was impossible to understand where the mirrors ended and the rooms began. And then I started to notice that I became very nervous and irritable. The same started to happen to my mom, too. However, we both thought that it was just some kind of difficult period in our life in our small family. But with time, the situation got worse. I could not concentrate at all. I saw mosaics of my reflections everywhere, and each of them had different facial expressions. It started to scare me and drive me crazy. The same situation was with my mom. She lost her former working capacity, and her business began to suffer serious losses. It seemed that everything around us began to crumble. Moreover, my mother started saying that she was ugly, looked awful, and didn't like herself anymore. And for her, this would mean a loss of everything, because her work was partly based on her appearance and attitude towards herself. Once my mother and I could not understand where she was and where her reflections were because it was simply impossible to distinguish them. I went into a full-blown panic and started screaming for my mother to come up to me and hug me. And even when she touched me, I could not believe that she was real. My brain was so exhausted and scared by the hundreds of our reflections that it became paranoid, just like me. After about 2 weeks, my mom and I almost went crazy. It seemed that our reflections in the mirrors used to freeze and hung in one position for several minutes, and sometimes even hours. It looked like photographic tape. It was both scary and insane. We also started having trouble falling asleep in the mirror world.
But
I freaked out every time I turned my
how
head.
are they
My face
the
stopped looking like mine.
same?
Hundreds of monsters seemed to surround me, and it scared the hell out of me. And even worse, I began to hate my appearance too. Is that little ugly frump really me? I am so frightful, I thought. Of course, it became clear to my mother and me that the cause of our problems was the mirrors, and the idea of the apartment with Hi, I am Reese, and recently in my school, there appeared a new economics teacher who has been making my life miserable since the first day. Well, no, there were no coincidences, and I did not imagine things. She really hated me. At school, I have always been an excellent student. I like to study and learn something new. I was especially fond of mathematics and economics. This means that I am not a humanities-minded person at all, and I plan to devote my life to calculations in the future. Our former economics teacher, Mrs. Maisel, literally adored me. Well, this is logical, as I was the first to raise my hand, knew the answers to all her questions, and did my homework better than anyone else. Reese, you have a great future, she said. But to my great regret, Mrs. Maisel was forced to leave her job at school and retire because her age no longer allowed her to easily communicate with teenagers and also spend half of her day at school. In short, my favorite teacher took a well-deserved rest. A week later, the class teacher informed us that on that day we would meet our new economics teacher and said that we would certainly like her. And I had no doubt that she would like me because I was really an exemplary student, and apart from that, I knew her subject very well. And then our first lesson with the new teacher in economics took place. Her name was Miss Peyton. She seemed to be no older than 25. We thought that she was very young and insecure. Most likely, this was her first teaching experience. Well, everything happens for the first time, and the fact that she is young does not make her a bad teacher, I thought, when the lesson had just begun. As usual, I tried to be active and demonstrate my knowledge to the new teacher. And imagine how shocking it was for me that at the end of the lesson, she gave me a bad mark. Well, of course, I thought that she had confused me with someone else and even reminded her of what questions I had answered and asked her to review my performance in the subject before she came to our school. But no, Miss Peyton said that I was smart enough, and the only thing that I was doing during the whole lesson was preventing her from teaching the class. She also said that from now on, she would not tolerate this, and next time she would just kick me out of the classroom. Well, I can say that my jaw dropped to the floor because of surprise, and I was speechless because I did not expect such inappropriate behavior from the teacher. What kind of report was she talking about?
Shut the fuck up.
That in the last lesson, I told her she had to write She was so furious that even no one of my classmates dared to stand up for me. They were scared. I started crying and left the classroom right in the middle of the lesson. I realized that only the school principal could save me, so I went straight to him. Choking with tears, I explained the situation to him and asked him to figure everything out. And the investigation did begin, but unfortunately, it ended not in my favor because Miss Peyton managed to win over all the students. She was kind to them and definitely inflated their grades. So everyone supported her and began to defend her, accusing me of lying and slandering a wonderful teacher. After my great failure, Miss Peyton rejoiced. No, this was not obvious to everyone, but I saw it in her eyes, in her grin, and I heard it in the tone of her voice. Then she began to set classmates against me. She told them that I didn't belong to this class, that I was not smart enough, and was a real troublemaker. and I couldn't prove anything because some girls passed these words to me anonymously, stating that this information was top secret and they didn't agree to repeat this in the presence of the third party. Then I decided to approach Miss Peyton and ask why I annoyed her so much, why she hated me so much, and why she was making my life miserable. Her answer was insulting and humiliating. Miss Peyton said that I was still nobody and I had not achieved so much that she could like or hate me. I was nobody, and it meant that I did not exist for her. I was no more than an empty state. That is, she did not even bother to give me a clue of what was wrong. In short, as she was setting all my classmates against me, my performance was deteriorating. Well, you know, it's hard to study in an environment where everyone is hostile towards you. I wanted to become invisible or disappear completely. Oh yeah, even my mom went to school a couple of times, but even this did not bring any result. Miss Peyton told her that unfortunately the former economics teacher greatly inflated my grades, but she couldn't do the same. Apart from that, she said that I had such a low level of knowledge that I should have been held back a year. To be honest, I did not understand what was going on and how to figure it out. Well, how can a complete stranger encroach on my life like that and start breaking it? During a month of work in our school, she turned me from an excellent student in the life of the party into an outcast and a D student. No, it was not a coincidence. She was perfectly aware of her actions. Also, she seemed to have set the goal of completely destroying me. One day, she crossed all the possible lines. It was during a city concert where all the students were invited. All the classes, including ours, were together. So in the middle of the holiday, when the music was playing very loudly and everyone was absorbed by what was happening on stage, I felt a strong, painful blow in the lumbar region. I turned around and saw Miss Peyton's sly face there. She was holding a stun gun in her hands. She looked angrily at me and said, "So, Reese, let's have fun, huh?" and gave me an electric shock for a second time.
Wow. We've changed. I don't trust a word you say. Look, that's a lie. He's Satan. We're gonna reel him in and gut him like a fish. You didn't need to add that.
Back. Series 2 starts next. I started screaming and ran through the crowd. It was so difficult, but most of all, I was afraid to get another electric shock in my back, so I was literally going over people's heads. When I got out of the crowd, in front of me, I saw the policemen who maintained order during the concert. I rushed to them and started shouting something. Then I calmed down and was able to properly explain what had happened. On that day, no one was able to catch my offender, and all in all, everyone considered me to be a schemer and a crazy girl. Miss Peyton even burst into tears the next day in public and asked why I did this to her. Damn actress! And again, I turned out bad and unwanted to everyone, or rather, I became even worse than before. One fine day, I just stopped putting up with all of this. I sent everyone to hell and said that I would not go to school anymore, more specifically to this school. But I would gladly go to another one with normal and honest teachers. Well, as a last resort, I would return to this one if the economics teacher left it. So after a couple of days, Miss Peyton appeared at the door of my house. My eye was already twitching because of her, and as soon as I saw her, I was gripped by panic. It's good that my mother was at home. She comforted me and persuaded me to talk to the teacher. Mom said that she came to make peace with me and hoped to find a common ground. Has the witch lost her broom, or the underworld ran out of space? What the hell is this limb of the devil doing here? What is her true purpose? And you know, I agreed to talk to her. Mom left us alone in my room and said that she would stay in the kitchen. So Miss Peyton started her speech. Her eyes were filled with hatred, and her voice was so harsh and cold that I felt uneasy. She said that I stole her childhood. She called me a freak of nature and said that I had ruined her family. I wondered what I could ruin being almost 14 years old. It seemed that this lady was completely crazy, and it was even dangerous to be near her. I stood up to call my mom, but Miss Peyton pointed a gun at me and said that I had to finish listening to her. The next moment, police officers broke the door and arrested me. It turned out that my mom installed a hidden camera in my room, so she saw and heard everything that was going on inside. So then she called the police. From that moment on, the game was over, and Miss Peyton was forced to tell everything. Although, the police officers themselves figured out everything at the same time. Miss Peyton is my paternal half-sister, and I never knew that she existed. Mom also did not know anything about her. Unfortunately or fortunately, I am not sure. When my parents started dating, Dad cohabitated with Peyton's mother, and they had something like a family. Peyton was 8 years old at that time. So Dad fell madly in love with my mother, and for some reason he decided to take French leave from a common-law wife and daughter. We were searching for him for a long time, and even sought some payments from him, but everything was in vain. And then Peyton and her mother decided to completely forget my father. In addition, my dad later officially married my mother, and she was pregnant with me. But nobody knew that Peyton had been angry with me for more than half of her life, and she promised to destroy me at all costs. She hated me because I grew up in a nuclear family while she was deprived of her father. She hated me just because I was happier and more loved than her. And she also started working at school to take revenge on me. All in all, hi everyone. My name is Enola, and I study at a very unusual school. Its headmaster is a real millionaire. I don't know which is more surprising, our school or our headmaster, but I think I'll tell you about everything. Last year, I never thought that I could stand out among my peers and that I could have a good deal of luck. It's true, all my life I was just in the back, and I was quite happy there. But one day, a wave of hype swept through our class when everyone started applying for admission to a new generation school. But no, it wasn't just my class that participated because more than 100,000 applicants were submitted. But the strangest thing is that most of the applicants, including me, did not understand at all why this was necessary and what was so cool about that school. And the main surprise was that according to the results of the selection, I was invited to study at that school, along with 6 other lucky ones from all over the country. I still didn't understand why I was going there, but since there was such a rush around that school, I guess I was lucky. My parents also did not have time to delve into where their daughter was going since they were very busy at work, so we just took my documents and went there on a familiarization tour. At the door of the school, we were met by its headmaster, Mr. Black, who turned out to be incredibly friendly and smiling all the time. He showed us all the classrooms that were more like youth cafes and teen rooms. There were no desks or boards in them, but instead there were a lot of cushioned chairs and sofas. There was also a mini bar with various drinks, a coffee machine, snacks, and chocolate in each classroom. In general, Mr. Black soon told us more about his school. This is a new generation school where education is not presented in the usual way. There is no obligation, no compulsion, no strictly allotted time for the lesson, and each student chooses the list of subjects that they want to study. Also, if for some reason a student today does not want to go to lessons, then he or she can go to the pool, to the cinema, to the game club, or to the gym, which are also located on the school grounds. And most importantly, it's all completely free. However, the school had one condition. All students must live in this educational complex 6 days a week and can only go home on Sundays. But it seemed to me such a trifle compared to everything I had heard earlier, and while my parents were doubtful about whether they were ready to send me here, I decided that at all costs I would study here. I think every teenager dreams of such a school. It's just some kind of paradise. Anyway, I managed to persuade my parents, and my enrollment documents were handed over the same day, and in 5 days I had come to school to start my new studies. I was over the moon with happiness and looked forward to how my former classmates would envy me. Soon after the start of my studies, my first surprise was waiting for me. All the students at our school were from troubled homes who had communication problems or bouts of aggression. It became clear that we all passed the selection for a reason, but why? By the way, if you are wondering why I became one of the troubled, I can explain it to you. As I said, I was always somewhere in the back row, and therefore I had difficulties in communicating and building relationships with my peers. I think that's why I became a student at this school. It is worth saying that on the whole, the learning process fully corresponded to what the headmaster promised. No one bothered us. We independently decided what subjects to learn and whether it was worth going to classes at all. But the fact is that very quickly, many children lost the desire to study at all. And it wasn't about our slackitude. It's just that every day there were some fights and conflicts among the students. The most aggressive ones got into fights and humiliated the weaker ones. So it was, to put it mildly, hard to be there. The guards and teachers, of course, intervened in the conflicts, but the showdowns continued outside of the office doors. I became friends with Margot from the first day. This girl came here from a school for troubled youth, and once she even went to prison. That's why I was very afraid of her, but I couldn't survive alone. Margot once said that she understood what was going on at our school and told me to watch the headmaster. I asked her not to delay and tell me what was going on. Then Margot said that Mr. Black is a real millionaire because he comes to school in a fancy car. And also he has a watch on his wrist, which obviously costs more than $100,000. And then she showed me one page in Instagram. All the photos showed Mr. Black showing his high income. Sometimes he flies on a private jet named after him, by the way, like his yacht. Then he holds private parties on his island, and then he goes on excursions into space. Margot said that she secretly stole his phone for a few minutes, and that is why she managed to get onto his page on Instagram, where he is under a pseudonym. That is, this account is not for everyone to see. So he's a millionaire. What then? It seems that it is not forbidden to be rich in our country, but Margot asked me to turn on my brain, if I had one, and think about where the headmaster of the school, even if it is innovative, got that kind of money. And why doesn't he do something more interesting? And then I was on my guard, because she was right. We decided to take a closer look at both the school and the teachers together with the headmaster and shoot all the oddities on photos and video. But literally a couple of days after that conversation, all the students of our school were forbidden to use mobile phones, obliging them to hand them over for all 6 school days. Not even for 6, but for 30, because the day before they announced to us that in the next month they would not let anyone go home due to quarantine. Meanwhile, the more reckless students became bolder and bolder and began to almost openly persecute the weaker ones. Twice within the walls of the school, there were serious beatings of those who were not strong enough. And the school administration intervened in these conflicts less and less. Soon I got it too. 2 girls from another class ambushed me in the school bathroom and asked me why I was walking around so haughtily, and then asked me to turn my pockets out. There was only a key fob given to me by my dad, and I immediately said that I would not give it to them. After that, the girls started beating me, and they stopped only when Margot appeared and chased them away. And while I came to my senses and tried to calm my breathing, my gaze fell on the slats with which all the walls in our school were decorated. There was a tiny pea-sized camera inside it. Margot and I immediately started looking at all the slats in the classrooms and hallways, and it turned out that hidden cameras were installed literally on every square meter. Then we decided that complete chaos was going on in here, since neither the teachers nor the headmaster intervened in the conflicts of school children and set a goal to steal our phones by all means and inform our parents about everything. And while we were going to the security office where all our personal belongings were kept, in the hall we saw another fight. 3 guys were beating up some boy.
You just want to get it sorted. You want Halfords. From brakes to batteries, MOTs to repairs. At over 7...
At the same moment, Mr. Black passed by, looked at the mess with a smile, and walked on. So we weren't imagining it. In the security office, Margot distracted the armed watchman on duty while I pulled my phone out of the closet and ran out of the room. I immediately called my parents and told them to come quickly with the police and that this was a very scary place. And then I went to look for Margot, but she was nowhere to be found. And only when the police appeared at the school, they were able to find her in the back room where the guards had sent her on the orders of Mr. Black. By the way, he and all his employees were immediately detained when they saw the number of beaten children. Then a serious investigation began. It turned out that our school was an experimental platform where some sponsors decided to find out how quickly the children would stop learning completely and how they would behave in conditions of complete self-government, to which we were going. In fact, they locked us in a cage like animals and just watched us. By the way, Mr. Black became rich only thanks to the sponsors. Before this project, he worked as a simple delivery guy in a pizzeria. After that incident, I realized that independence from parents and adults is not always good and that one shouldn't always trust promises. Would you like to go to such a school? Write your answers in the comments, click on the thumbs up button, and subscribe to our channel.
1,900 years?
Actually, no. There's no way we're surviving the week.
That's early.
Is it though? Take a look at the map data.
Threat level pod?
Apparently, the threat levels go green, yellow, orange, red, black, purple, herringbone, tie-dye, seersucker, polka dot, argyle, and then plaid.
Oh, so we're definitely doomed.
You don't come back from plaid.
Okay, so what's our end-of-day strategy here? We go on Blaze of Glory, Bunker of Shame, General Aura of Denial?
If I may, I believe I have a solution to our problem. You know, Blaze of Glory has its perks, but I think I'm a bunker man. Again, hello? I believe I can help save some base.
You know, I'm going for that Glory, although Denial is very comforting.
Terribly sorry, but I know how to save us all. Denial is great, but the bunker has Stellar Horizon reruns. It's critical that we move quickly.
Should we flip a coin?
Parents, meet Go Henry. It's the debit card connected to a smart app, managed by
No.
and loaded with
No,
multiple tools
I've
designed
already got Revolt Junior.
Greetings to all. My name's Penelope, and I live in a godforsaken corner of the land with no water at all. Just imagine your typical day for a moment, then remove all the moments with water, such as a shower, preparing food, drinks, and washing. You can't even brush your teeth without water. Does that seem strange for you? Yes, it's horrible. Now imagine that there are still entire cities without water on Earth. In the very center of the continent. Probably no one with a sound mind and good health would agree to come here even for a little while. But we were born here and this is our home. Therefore, it is extremely difficult for most of us to leave our homeland, whatever the situation. Although the main reason is money. You see, all the people of our town are involved in diamond mining, and this is very abusive and hard work, but highly profitable. Between April and September, we actually have no rain, and therefore we have no vegetation at all. We call our city a concrete jungle, and many visitors are surprised how we even survive in the face of perpetual drought. After an hour of staying here, people not used to our climate start to feel that all their mucous membrane...
A few more lights and I'll be ready to be the ghost of Christmas terror. I hope you're all getting settled in for a long winter's nap.
Hey, Willow, am I going to be visited by a holiday-themed spirit tonight? Yes. I thought that might be the case. Are you taking requests? No. Yeah, I figured. It's just, this has not been the greatest year for me. So, if you could find it in your heart to make my soul-shattering Christmas vision
Basta, come Zed.
I'd really appreciate it. I can't blame you for trying. I guess I'll see you in my nightmares.
Lars, if you promise to tell no one, I'll set you up with a classic movie monster thing.
Aw, thanks, Willow.
It's still going to be the worst dream you've ever had. You will literally wake up exhausted from all of the screaming.
As long as it's a break from all this, I'll take it.
Hey, any chance you're taking requests?
No! A visit from a holiday spirit is supposed to be a horrific, ego-destroying, traumatic event.
I know, and I respect the process.
Then why are you trying to weasel your way out of it?
Oh, no. I have burned through every horror film we've got, and I could really use a good scare.
It'll happen.
That's what I like to hear. Okay, so I made you some flashcards for the things that scare me the most. And they're broken down by subgenre. Red cards are body horror, pink are ideas for slasher scenarios. This is just a grab bag of things that freak me out. And I just ate a double stacker beef blast, so... let's do this.
I guess I can bump you up on the list.
Bro, give please. What? Give you what?
So, what do you think?
Bro.
I just spent what felt like an entire lifetime drowning in the darkest, saddest corners of my mind.
Merry Christmas. So, are you taking requests?
Give me please, bro.
Look,
No.
home
Don't give him anything, it's just a scammer.
I don't think I'm doing the right things. It's just
I'm not gonna give you shit all.
all at once. I'm not letting you off the hook. Good.
Yes, please, bro.
Is this
Yes,
a reverse
yes.
psychology thing? No.
Yes.
Do your worst.
Please,
Hit me with the tough
bro.
stuff, you know? Kick me back into gear. Show me what it'll be like to lose all of this. I've got you booked for a pretty simple stress drain. Are you sure you want
Yes,
this?
please.
I owe it to home base.
Okay, bro, okay. Yeah.
Hey, can I get another go? I've got a few suggestions.
No.
Well, let me just walk you through the pitch. Pennsylvania, 500 years ago. Oh, is it just me or is it suddenly very cold?
Yo, bro, please don't. Please.
Are you still taking requests?
That is really not how this works.
This?
One time,
Okay,
I saw Santa in
yes.
the break room, and he had his beard. It was off.
And
And it was the
Wait, let me
scariest
just
thing I
practice
have ever
something.
seen in my life. I was like, who are you? Where is Santa? And he was like, sorry, I'm on the phone.
No,
Can we talk about this later? And I was like, who are you? And where is Santa? Where is he? What did you do to him? So maybe you can work that in somehow.
noted.
Please, bro.
Okay, I know you said go away, but I've got some killer ideas you need to try.
Bro, please, pollution, please. Armor, please, bro, give me the armor, please. Bro, give me please the armor. God, please. Fuck. Bro, stop faster, please. Come here, Nick.
It's water.
Please, bro. Yes, cover frost. Bro, please. 130. Armor 130.
What, you want 130, this is 130, this is 130. So you want one of these? You want one of these?
Yes, bro.
These are 130s.
Yes, bro. One.
You can have my arse crack. No.
122. 122.
No.
Armor 122. Armor 100.
I'm 130. 130.
Bro, fuck, bro.
Shut the fuck up.
So, how was everyone's night?
Ho, 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 Ripley sad. Oh, I was gonna say the same thing.
I learned that you can cry in your sleep.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But good news, we're down to threat level Gingham.
After that dream, I just want everyone to know that no matter what happens, it has been an honor to...
We're back up to threat level Poplin.
I'm glad in those tidings, Ray. Okay. I'll just...
That is so cool, wait. Hola, hola. Yeah, yeah. Hola, hola. What the hell? Hola, hola. Yeah, yeah. That is so cool.
Keep searching.
Yeah, yeah. Hola, hola. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm trying to get these trees.